Well, we certainly aren't ageist when it comes to having panel discussions. All are welcome to join us. And a very interesting question that we've got with these two on the couch. Are you perhaps thinking about a career in the food industry? Perhaps you want to become a chef or a food stylist, or maybe even a TV chef. And to give us some insights into the careers and the inspiration, we've got Chef Tjaart Walraven and Chef Tumi on the couch to share insights about their careers. Great to have the two of you here. This is a very exciting topic. I'm looking forward to chatting to you about this.
Well, I mean, it's an exciting industry that we live in.
It is quite.
Yeah.
It is quite.
Let's take a step back and have a holistic look at some of the most exciting careers, in your opinion, in the food industry right now.
I'd have to say I'm enjoying seeing a lot of food stylists and what they can actually do with the food, because a lot of times we say as chefs that it's like an art. Being a chef is like an art and expressing yourself through it. And then having to see people taking that and styling food in such a way where you feel like I could actually take a picture of that and frame it and put it up on my wall just so I can see that, because it looks amazing.
Absolutely.
So I think food stylists, besides chefs, of course, are quite interesting.
And when it is done well, it has a real impact. I mean, I can't even count on my fingers the number of times where I've seen a delicious-looking image and then immediately thought, I would love to order that, and then you end up ordering it because that's what you want to eat, just because you saw it.
Absolutely. I mean, we eat with our eyes. 80% of our mind is made up on that presentation, that dish, of whether it's going to be good or bad. So literally have such a small percentage to make up on flavour and the rest of it, really.
Yeah, all right, so food stylists being one. What about the chefs at restaurants? I mean, every year when we go to the Eat Out Awards and we get to meet the chefs, and like they are like rock stars when they walk in there with their chef jackets and there's like fancy cars all around them. I feel like being a chef at a restaurant is quite a cool thing.
It is.
Yes and no, there's definitely two sides to it. I think there's definitely specifically, I think there are those that are chefs, those that love to be on the pots and pans and cook. And yes, you have the likes, as you mentioned, of Eat Out, where those guys really are pushing those boundaries and this haute cuisine, you know, the high cuisine, all beautiful food and little bits and pieces. But don't forget, there's a whole world of bistro chefs, pizza chefs, retail chefs. You know, I mean, look at all the people that are creating our convenience meals now. I mean, you know, in our current situation, you know, those convenience meals are flying out of there to go into that deep freeze, you know, that we're hoarding away. So that's the whole sort of genre we mustn't forget about. Hospital chefs. You know, those that are looking after people now. So, you know, that just sort of this mass catering, absolutely, it just extrapolates into so many different avenues. It's not just restaurants, and it's not just, you know, all fancy food with a little bit of frilly bits and pieces on top and a piece of, you know, lamb loin that's only going to weigh 25 grams, and that's your meal, and you've been charged, you know, 6,000 rhinos for it, kind of thing.
And it's not actually as glamorous as people think. It looks fancy, especially with the high-end chefs and so forth. It looks so fancy, like, oh my gosh, it looks so amazing. You probably just sit there like a king and just order. No. It is a whole lot of work.
It's not yes chef, no chef all the time. You got to cut some onions.
Well, absolutely, and it depends again who you are. If you look at a head chef, I mean, you're a salesperson, you're a marketer, you're an influencer, you're a food stylist, all wrapped into one. You know, so actually a head chef sometimes doesn't really cook much, and they rely on this incredible team, this engine behind them to see it through.
And in the publication industry, certainly you've got to consider not just the food stylists, and as we continue talking about some of the exciting careers out there, but food photographers, food writers, food magazine editors.
Even recipe developers. Because those people don't technically do the work. They come up with the idea, would these ingredients work together with this recipe come together, and then someone else tries it, and it does actually work.
Yeah, it is. I mean, from my side, I mean, I've worked as a consultant for the best part of, you know, 12, 14 years, and that's, you come up with ideas, concepts, you take in people's ideas, you take in people's money, right, put it together, and now let's try and execute it, get the right training, get the right assistants to put those components together. So, yeah, it becomes interesting.
And it's not even just the kitchen. It's also when people come up with restaurants, chefs are consulted a lot of the times, because whatever the food you're making has to tie into the aesthetic of the actual restaurant itself as well. So even not only the styling of the recipe or of the menu, but the actual restaurant itself. It's a whole lot of work.
Okay, all right, I'm inspired. I mean, the amount of times I've had like the odd cooking session in my kitchen and thought to myself, man, I'd love to do this professionally. And then I get into the kitchen with the two of you and I'm like, okay, wait, let's be realistic about it. It's a whole new world out there now. These two wonderful chefs are a great inspiration for all of us here, and in fact for anybody looking to pursue a career in the culinary world. And a little bit later on, they're going to be doing what they do best in our kitchen to teach us the essential differences between savoury and sweet pudding. So do stay tuned for that on your Feel Good Breakfast Show. We'll be right back after a short break.
It's my Feel Good Breakfast Show.
Oh, wow. Well, anyway, right now, welcome back to another edition of the Culinary Hotline. Bling! Sing, sing, sing! While we all wash our hands very diligently, of course, given the current circumstances. But of course, we've got Chef Tjaart in the house, as well as Chef Tumi, Afternoon Express's resident chef, to answer all of your burning foodie questions. And if you have any culinary questions that you'd like to ask or conundrums that are confounding you, you're welcome to refer them to our panel of experts by giving us those questions on Facebook. Espresso Morning Show, SABC3. Are you ready, chefs?
Yeah. Oh, always born ready, hopefully, huh?
All right, let's jump straight into it, right? And we've got a question here from Josephine Pixton, one of our regular viewers, saying, good morning, family, hashtag Espresso Show, SABC3. I'd love to know how to make Yorkshire pudding.
Oh, one of my absolute favorites.
Yeah.
I'm glad, because I've always been curious about them. I've never really tried them.
Really?
So this is also going to be a great lesson for me.
Is it
Perfect.
so named just because it's from the area of Yorkshire in the United Kingdom?
Well, I mean, it's very, very English in its sense, and it is. I mean, it's a poor man's food equivalent. I mean, it's what the sort of the farmers had, and obviously, Yorkshire Dales are big farming territory. So I presume somewhere along the line, I should have really done a little bit more research on that. But I mean, wherever you go, every single pub you can mention. I was saying to Graham earlier on, and he just says, every pub, that's all that they serve. Roast beef with Yorkshire puddings, loads of gravy, bread sauce, you can imagine, and so on and so forth.
So just because it's called pudding, it doesn't mean it's sweet. It's actually...
No, it's actually savoury, believe it or not. So it is actually, so think of it, in essence, it's a pancake batter of form, or it's a batter that we're going to make with all your usual staples of pancakes or crumpets or flapjacks, whatever you want to term the other things as. So it's just a batter. And this is actually savoury.
Okay. Well, listen, Josephine, you can SMS the keyword dish to 33728. In fact, you can all SMS the keyword dish to 33728 to receive the link to the recipe as well as the ingredients list. We have the ingredients. Let's get started. What are we doing?
So simple. Right, Timo, you're going to do the mixing, or
Let me do it.
you're going to do the work there?
Elbow grease.
Flour, a little bit of salt, and again, salt because it's going to bring out flavour. So important. Salt in baking, salt in bread. We speak about it quite a bit. So pop that in there, and then into your eggs. All right. I'm going to start with one egg to start with first, and then just start bringing and bind everything together.
Why?
And again, also you don't want lumps.
Why one at a time?
All right. So one at a time. So you're starting to incorporate, and there is not too much liquid that we're just going to create globules. So this we're actually going to be breaking down the flour into smaller particles every time.
Okay.
Okay. So you can see the lumps there, but because it's quite tight, we can break it all down. We can break those little egg globules, because what's going to happen is, remember, the egg is coating the flour.
Okay.
All right, so it's coating it. So what happens if you put too much in, it coats too big a bubble in essence of flour. Yep.
All right.
All right.
So you've gone.
Here we go with that.
See, this is the kind of stuff you learn when you are a professional chef and you've been doing it for, what, past a decade now, nearly 2 decades.
Taking my age away,
No, not at all. I'm just talking about your experience, and this is for me the wonderful thing that I love about chefs that are really invested in their craft, is that you get to understanding food on almost on a molecular basis. You know what I mean?
Well,
understanding how each ingredient interacts with the other. It's not just about adding salt.
No.
You understand
very
why
much so.
you add salt.
Absolutely, very important to understand that the chemical process and the reaction that's going to take. So once we got to that mixture, we've got quite a nice sort of smooth mixture there. Again, a little bit of milk. Again, because you want to slacken it. Look at our consistencies. Talking chemically, look at the consistency of the batter. Look at the consistency of that. 2 liquid state items, but very different in their viscosity of the liquids.
Yeah.
So that's why you're adding a little bit to begin with, and then a little bit more as you go.
There we go.
And then just keep adding that in as we go, like that.
On a scale of 1 to 10, to me, how difficult is it from, I've heard about Yorkshire puddings, I've never made one before, and now I'm making it?
I'm actually quite ashamed. I'm a chef, and I didn't know how, this is literally, it's done.
No, but I mean...
There's 1,000 other dishes that you make.
Absolutely. Right, are you confident in pouring into there? Or have I got to do the trick of there? Right, pour into there. Speed, just go for it. Just pour. And it goes there. Now, ideally, you actually want this to sit for an hour, because what happens now is the flour starts to swell.
Okay.
All right? And that's what's going to give this wonderful consistency with that there. But anyway, because we obviously need to keep marching on, I'm going to grab the next very important part.
Good things, okay.
So,
that's
in the oven. Mind your backs, guys. Very hot.
I was told I'm not allowed to do this because I need to do it under parental supervision.
So, a little muffin tray. All right.
Yay.
So be very, very careful.
Because
make sure
what's
you
in
get
there?
The dog and the cat out, but in here is exceptionally hot oil at 220 degrees.
All right. What kind of oil?
So, vegetable oil, very important. Good question, really good question. Don't use olive oil. It doesn't get hot enough. I want something that's going to sizzle.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
And if you watch this there. So what we've got is just some vegetable oil here, about a tablespoon in each one.
Is this going to mushroom like that when you pour it in?
Not quite, but it's gonna bubble. So just watch very carefully here. It is gonna bubble here. So let's try and sort of catch this somehow, because it's gonna dribble a little bit there. And it goes. Look at that.
Oh, that's cool.
All right, so about 2/3 of the way up is what you want.
Yeah.
And then just, so really important that the oil is hot.
So you'd have had it in there for how long?
So we've had it in there for sort of 15, 20 minutes.
On 220
in a
degrees.
preheated oven, very important. Now, you can obviously do a much bigger one. You want to do a 12 pan, ultimately at the end of the day. Don't be shy. So pouring that in, and then very carefully, this is going to go back into the oven.
Yeah, as you can see, the oil kind of cools down very quickly once it's outside.
Well, it does, but it's going to start cooking straight away. So again, this is going to go back in very carefully.
It's a very, very delicate process.
Oh, I tell you, back in it goes, indeed. Oh,
and it'll go back in there for how long?
So it's going to take anything between, depending on your ovens, they all vary, between 25 and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And you're just going to watch, that heat underneath, and it's going to go, and going to push them up, and you have these lovely, light, puffy, cloud-like pancakes that you can have with your roast beef, or can I say the best afterwards, because you always make a big tray, make lots, and afterwards, maple syrup. Oh, my goodness.
That's sure to make all your guests go. They'll all feel like that. Listen, we love those questions coming in. Thanks very much to Josephine Pixton for that one. We'll be answering more of your burning culinary conundrums a little bit later on here on the Culinary Hotline, playing Sing, Sing, Sing.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
So while you're transforming your job hunt, let us help you transform your cooking skills in the kitchen with another edition of the Culinary Hotline, playing Sing, Sing, Sing. Yes! Tumi
Yes, I
Mogoai
got it.
finally
Got it.
Unbelievable. Tumi Mogoai and Chef Tjaart in the kitchen, here to answer your burning culinary conundrums. And we got one that concerned a South African favorite.
Yes.
The good old malva pudding. Oh. And this came through from Tsokolo Bryce Chakelo. Says, my malva pudding is always coming out white, not brown inside. Yo, hibatum. And the sauce is always on the sides, not in the center. Please help me. So two problems there. The sauce is not on the inside. It's on the sides. And it's not coming out as brown as Tsokolo would like to have it.
Well, to answer the browning part of it, I think, one, you might not be leaving it in to bake for long enough, because one of the gauges to see if the malva pudding is actually done is to look at the color. So you gauge, the color is one of the biggest things. It's a very nice deep brown color. And then if you're not too sure that it's cooked enough, just stick a skewer in there. If it's still not done, then leave it in there until it's nicely brown. The whole idea of it is to have that nice caramelly taste and cover on top of it.
Caramelly.
Bundles are running out, bro. Excuse me.
Okay, good. So where do we start with this? And by the way, you at home can SMS the keyword dessert to 33728 for this particular recipe. We'll send you the link as well as the ingredients list. Okay.
All right, so we started here. I've got some eggs that I've creamed with some sugar, and I've added some vanilla essence. So I'm going to ask Chef Tjaart to follow up on there with what we're going to be doing. We're going to add some of the jam. We've got some melted butter, milk, and vinegar that we're going to mix together and then add as well. So you can start with the jam.
The jam in there, cool.
Yeah, so we're using grape jam right now because my Grammy used to have a couple of trees in her yard. One of them was a grape tree.
Yeah?
She also had apricot trees as well as...
peaches, probably.
Yeah, typical. You know us.
Yeah.
So,
and figs somewhere in the back there too.
Yes, as well.
Yeah.
She did. So this is one of the reasons why I wanted to use grapes, because I miss her, and I miss her baking. She loved to bake. So this is just paying homage to my Grammy.
Ah, beautiful.
Awesome. So I've mixed all my dried ingredients here. We've got our bicarb soda, we've got some salt, and we've got some sifted flour as well. So all of that is going to be added, or rather that's going to be added in here, and then we're going to whisk it together, put it into the oven to bake.
Yeah.
But because, like I said, we're using grapes, I've also got some chopped up grapes that we're going to put into the batter, so you can actually bite into that.
Hebana.
Yeah, bo. I'm taking it home.
Did your grandma do this, or is this just your own
This is just me
innovation?
saying I miss her, yeah.
This is beautiful,
Yeah,
man.
man.
Was your grandmother baking all the time, or was it on occasion?
Dude, if she was not being a granny, she was baking.
Wow.
She was the baker of the family. And because of that, my mom and I then actually followed up. I did more of the eating of the baked goods instead of the actual baking. But
As
I was
you
in the
should as a
kitchen.
child.
There was always that spoon with the batter that needed someone to clean it off, and I just took on that responsibility.
You're obliged. All right, so we're going to get the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients, and you're going to fold it, mix it in. How?
Correct, yes. So our viewer did ask about this, the sauce coming to the side and not in. One, it's either you're not adding the sauce in there while it's still warm, while the malva pudding is still hot.
Okay.
Yes, or you're mixing in your batter too much because you don't want it to be overmixed. If you do that, as you do with kneading breads and stuff, you need it to be kneaded because you want the air pockets in there.
Yes.
With these kind of recipes, you don't want to overmix your batter.
You want it dense.
Yes, you want it as dense as possible so it stays nice and flat, making it easier to bake.
But it's like it's a cake, and going back to the technical, like the chemical reaction, you want to beat it and bake it as very important, because the moment you remember you got the flour, you're developing the gluten and things, developing structure. You don't want that in a cake. What do you want in a cake? You want something that's light, that's fluffy, that's got this wonderful aeration to it. So really beat it, mix it, done.
Did you just quote pat a cake, baker's man?
Not quite.
Bake us a cake as fast as you can.
There we go.
Pat it and bake it, beat it and bake it and mark it and
So very much important there, and as Tumi was saying, you know, and picking up that also that sauce going over when it's warm, when it's still quite hot, but also a small amount. Don't put all your sauce over at once. Put it in different stages, and then just pierce a few holes on top of your actual bake and allow it to go in onto there. We're going to do a change over here, Tumi, so I can help you here.
Oh, have you got one? Oh, there's Yorkshire puddings already.
Yes, from one legendary.
Steaming, careful there, Tjaart.
From
That's
one
amazing.
To another. Awesome.
That is unbelievable timing.
Oh, you know, always a bit of magic, you know.
So these are the Yorkshire puddings we made earlier on. And for that recipe, you can SMS DISH to 33728. For this particular malva pudding recipe that we're making, courtesy of Tsokolo, who sent us that question, you can SMS dessert to 33728. I've got to say, listen, wow.
It's so nice. You know what's so nice? And getting back on that question there, you know, there's different recipes. I mean, I said to Tumi earlier on, and, you know, she said this was her recipe. You know, this doesn't have spices. Usually it does have spices as well. So there's lots of different variations that's going to change the colour tone on it. But I do love that sort of paleness, and then you say that lovely, as you call the caramel colour. Caramelly on the top there.
This is looking amazing. I cannot wait to taste it. Would you like a knife?
For me? Oh, my goodness.
There you go. So SMS dessert to 33728. Wow. I'm very, very excited for this. Let's just get a piece. You got to get the grape in there as well.
And the custard.
Wow.
I actually enjoyed with the custard a lot. I forgot to mention how the sauce is actually made. So this sauce that we talk about that goes in there.
Oh, wow.
Did I just take you back to your childhood?
Wow. That is emotional eating right there. As in, like, in a good way, like, whoa, that is beautiful. I feel like I can taste the memory of your childhood in that.
I had a great childhood.
You certainly had a great childhood.
Yeah, absolutely. You can imagine stuff like that on, you know, afterwards. Absolutely. That's so.
I'd do anything my grandmother wants me to do. Go hurt the cattle. Yes, grandma. Yes. As long as there's malva when I come back. Anyway, you were saying?
Oh yes, the sauce that we used for the top of the actual malva, we used cream, treacle sugar, and some butter. So you basically just put it on the pan, let it heat up. You don't want it to burn or boil. You just want it to be nice and hot, the sugar dissolved, and then just pour it onto the malva while it's still hot. Let it sit there and just soak up the goodness.
Oh, man.
Or let it.
But I mean, yes, look at that.
Look at that. Oh, Yorkshire pudding a la Chef Tjaart. Look at that.
Imagine this bit of custard.
Oh, because you did say that you can go like
Yes,
maple syrup type of vibe as well.
Better.
Oh, wow. What a day in the Culinary Hotline. Bling, sing. Thank you very much for that question, Tsokolo, that you sent to us. And hopefully with this, you no longer have to Sokola. Of course, if you have any more questions, you can share them with us. Express the Morning Show, SABC3, and we'll get them answered by our panel of experts. Thanks very much, guys. Okay.